Hello, everybody. Let's talk border safety. Let's talk traveling in Mexico safety. So the biggest thing I hear, in all honesty, is that I'm going to get my head chopped off. Primarily from people who are concerned about me, in fact, getting my head chopped off. And I mean, I understand where the concern comes from, and I understand why. It's never, oh, you're going to get carjacked or you're going to get, robbed. It's always usually getting my head chopped off. I get that's, what we see on a lot of TV and a lot of movies, given, the current happenings in Mexico at times. And here are my thoughts on it. Which is cool because I can put it here and just say it once, because for the past 20 years I haven't even really spoke about it. Because quite honestly, I just got tired of explaining to people, how it is. And when people tell me, oh my God, it's always the primary concern is the safety issue going into Mexico. I've gone a couple times a year for the past, like I said, 20 something years. So those of you that know me, it started after high school. I was an exchange student of all things, and I am still in contact with my host family today. That's my Mexican mom and dad, my host siblings. Those are my Mexican brothers and sisters, and they're great. I've watched their kids grow, and I love them as siblings to this day. So throughout that time, when I was a student, in central Mexico, we're not talking border regions, we're talking so far into Mexico that there really is no driver desire, no pressing driver desire for those people there to come here to the United States. Primarily because they're so far inland, they have their own economies, they have their own job markets and everything else, educational facilities, industries around education, around medicine, same thing that we would have here. Not to say that there aren't Central Mexicans that come, to the United States looking for work and such, but my point being is that it was so far away from the United States that they had a lot of notions about what was going on in the United States. Primarily, you got to understand, that was the mid-90s. So, I mean, if you guys remember what the mid-90s looked like, there's a lot of gangster rap and a lot of Bloods and Crips and a lot in the news, I should say. And so that was what was consuming a lot of the headlines. So, being an American down there, the primary concern from the Mexicans were, are you going to get shot in the United States? Aren't you afraid of getting shot? And I would say, no. I mean, I'm from Dearborn. So as time progressed, things, they changed, the ebb and flow as far as crime in both areas, in Mexico and the United States. And so people ask me now, they're like, aren't you afraid of going, into Mexico? And the short answer is no. And I always respond with a question. It's like, aren't you, are you afraid of living in the U.S.? And it's like, well, they kill people in Mexico. I'm like, yeah, well, they kill people in the U.S. And not to minimize it, but the things around crime in Mexico, it's well, there were killings in Mazatlan and Cancun and Ciudad Juarez. There were, and I'm like, yeah, well, how many people got shot in Detroit last night? And we as southeastern Michiganders, we always say, we discount it. Well, that's not, I got nothing to do with that. I mean, I'm far away from that. I live in a whole different surrounding suburb, 15, 20 minutes away from where they were killing dudes last night. So it's kind of like that, is what I would say. I tell everybody, in the U.S. you got New York, L.A., Chicago, Miami. And so people would discuss, Las Vegas, I guess. playgrounds for people with discretional income, money to burn, fast lifestyles, those kind of things. So the same thing is true in Mexico. You got Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. Then you got the beaches. And just like in the U.S., everybody talks about why Chicago's so bad. Well, Chicago's a main hub in the drug trade. This is a reality. So, when you're warring over controlling interests, in the drug trade, yeah, there's going to be crime. There's going to be murders. There's going to be all that stuff. Me personally, I got nothing to do with that shit, so I ain't really worried about it. In the same way that I'm not worried about what happens on the east side of Detroit because I got nothing to do with that. I got nothing to do with the grimy shit going down in Southwest because I got nothing to do with that. I ain't had nothing to do with that for years and years, so I ain't worried. So it doesn't have anything really to do with me. So when you're traveling in Mexico and everybody's like, oh my God, aren't you afraid you're going to get your head chopped off? It's like, listen, I got nothing to do with any of those interests. Not to say that it doesn't happen. Not to say that there aren't, things that happen. But the other side of that coin is, my Mexican friends are like, aren't you afraid to send your kids to school in the United States? And I'm like, no, why? They're like, well, all the school shootings. And I'm like, yeah, I guess they got a point there because their headline, they see the same headlines we have. How many school shootings we have? I mean, shit, how many mass shootings do we have in the United States? One every day, basically. So, my thoughts on the matter, I mean, just like anything else. You can go, you just got to know what you're doing. And that wasn't always the case. To be honest, when I was a student, my host mother, she scolded me and grounded me because in my impetuous youth, I took a bus. I would travel all over the country by bus. But what I did is I took a bus coming home and from a trip I took down there. And when I got to, it's one thing to be in small town Mexico, it's another to be in Mexico City, which is the biggest city in the world. So what I did at 18 years old is I arrived to the bus station of the North. And then, without any prior experience, with my Spanish being and being all of 130 pounds, I took the subway system from the bus station to the north of the north to the bus station to the south. So I traversed the entire city on just a couple pesos because you only gotta pay to get in there and then you gotta pay a couple transfers. So it was pretty cheap. But as an adult man, I had zero business doing that. That was probably one of the dumbest things I could ever done. Why? Because I didn't know my way around. I didn't really know the bus systems. I thought I was all slick. But just keep my mouth shut. People think I'm, Mexican from Mexico, and thought I was slick because I would just look up at the bus routes and kind of see, I'm going the wrong way. So next one I just get on the other bus and the other way, the other subway system to go the other way. And they were all color coded, so I was like, okay, I got to go here. I'll get off here, and I just trying to play it cool, right? But as an adult, I know that was very dangerous and very stupid because I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I had no business doing that. So I would have yelled at me and grounded me too. And that's what my, Mexican parents do because they love me. But anyways, I digress. My point being is now I'm an adult man. And if I were engaging in travel that was dangerous, they would tell me. Now, mind you, there are dangers, just like there are dangers when we travel in the U.S., when you're driving in the hood, when you're going downtown, when you're, whatever, parking for a Tigers game or, whatever, you're in the parking lot, all those things. So you got to have your head about you. You got to know how to handle yourself. And the benefit I have is that I do know how to get around. I do know, the language, and I do know how to handle myself, when traveling in Mexico. So I'm not concerned about those things. But, like everything, there are rules of which I'm aware, especially driving, which, I respect those rules. There are, particularly as it relates to what I'm doing now, with this import gig is as my people told me, they're like, listen, I won't tell you how to get to the border. You know, you travel in the United States, you know what you're doing. They're like, but I will tell you how to travel in Mexico. And right now, we're not going through this town. We're not going to this town. We're going around this town. And so I don't care what Google tells you, they say. Once you cross the border, you're going to go from here to there, from there to there. And when you get here, you're only going to have a quarter tank down, but you're going to fill your tank because the next time you stop is going to be over here. And I respect that input, and I follow the instruction because they know what I don't know, and those routes can change based on what's going on, nationally. But right now, this is the way we're doing it, and it took a long time to be in a position to be able to pull this off. So, main two things I'm hearing is number one, be safe and be careful, and I will be. And number two is that I'm crazy. And if anybody knows me, that's probably true. But there are risks, just like with everything else. Am I concerned about it? Not really. Could something happen to me? Very well, may. But, I'll put it like this. There are millions of Mexicans that travel these roads that I'll be traveling every day without issue, and millions of Americans that do the same thing. So and the ones that get in trouble are typically the ones that are on you'd see on an episode of Locked Up Abroad, which I really say should be called Stupid Shit Dumb Terrorist Dude Trying to Smuggle Drugs. That should be the name of that show. But anyways, so the moral of the story is I know what I'm doing, and don't worry. But prayers are appreciated. Thank you.